Bring it in real tight, real nice and intimate like. That's it. The tires have been rotated, the vehicle has been lubed and tuned, and the catalytic converter has mysteriously gone missing. It's time to take the high road.
Well, it's kind of funny you said that because I did take my car to Honda yesterday to get a recall taken care of. And so hopefully they didn't take out the Cadillac converter.
Cadillac converter. Catalytic.
Catalytic.
Cadillac.
Cadillac.
So why do you have a Cadillac part in your Honda?
I misspoke. I hate it when I misspeak because you call me out every time. Cadillac converter. Okay, people. I know what I was trying to say. Okay.
The
All right,
Cadillac converter.
We're already a minute into it. Let's just cancel the show. Let's start over.
All right, let's bring it in tight.
All right. Maybe I'll do an intro.
Okay, you do it.
And then we'll take whichever one's better.
All right, go ahead. You go.
All right, what's the title of the show again? Taking the High Road? Okay. Not getting on the high road, right? Taking the high road. All right. All right.
All right.
All right. All right.
All right.
Quit doing that. Don't you say all right, or and then you start saying it? Isn't that what you do?
All right.
All right. Here we go. My car is not packed. The container is not secured to the top of my car. My bike mount is broken, and I need a new catalytic converter. But we're going to go ahead and take the high road.
All right. Well, a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about the Academy Awards and movies, and if we'd ever seen any of them. And you and I talked about it, and we decided we were going to watch Anora.
Well, you said I had to because it won everything, and I was just like, okay. And then you had me sold pretty quickly when you said there was a lot of TNA. So I was like, you know what? Let's give it a try.
Yeah. So Anora won Best Picture, Best Actress, Best Director, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Movie Editing. So we're like, well, might as well watch it. So we did. I watched it with my wife, and you watched it with your wife.
With myself.
Oh, with yourself. We'll just say we'll try not to spoil anything, but we might. So if you're like holding off on watching this movie and you want to see it really, really badly, then maybe don't listen to this podcast. But if you're like, I don't know if I'll see it or not, this might be the podcast for you.
Right? And they could always just go watch it in the next couple of days, but you have to come back and watch the show and or listen to the show, because then you might find these things a little more funny once you've watched it.
But probably not. So
okay.
So you didn't like it. You didn't think it was Best Picture worthy?
I do not at all. And I haven't seen any of the other nominees, so I can't really compare it. But from the last 40 years, well, I wasn't watching movies at 3 years old, but the last close to 40 years of watching movies, I can say that it's not even in my top 20. But I feel like it was somewhat good, entertaining. I have a few notes and critiques about some of the scenes, especially in the beginning. But I thought it was decent acting. Just the dialogue wasn't that great, and I just didn't. Like I said, I didn't think the plot was that like interesting.
Well, it's I don't know. Would you say it's a modern day sort of Cinderella or Pretty Woman type situation?
Yeah, I mean, it tried to be. I feel like it was pretty accurate to how kids are these days, and some of the comments some of the older people were saying about the main character, the male and the female. They're both younger. What was the ages? I think it was 23 and 21.
Does it ever say what his age is?
Yeah, because remember when they're laying in bed and they're talking about something, and then she's like, "How old do you think I am?" Or she asked him, and he said 21, and then he thought she was 25, and she said she was 23. Obviously, I don't know how old the actors really are, but that's who they were playing, a 21-year-old male and a 23-year-old female, or 23-year-old female. Yeah.
Okay, so well, basically, the movie is a stripper / escort meets a very wealthy Russian son of an oligarch. Is that what it was? I don't know. Do you even tell what the dad is or who the dad is, or it doesn't really get into it
I
that much?
honestly, some of the characters that came in and like were in some of the scenes, I had no idea really who they were, if they were hired help or if they were relatives. It was kind of confusing. You knew who the mother was towards the end there, but
Yeah,
I don't know the history and what that means on why you're rich if you're an oligarch. So I kind of was just not trying to nuke what was really going on. I was just focused on, the relationship and how they were interacting and stuff like that.
you were focused on the.
Well, no, I closed my eyes for those scenes. As soon
Yeah,
as I
you
saw it,
did like this.
like I'm okay, it's okay to see male nipples, right? You can do that out in public.
We're
But
going back to this one. We're
as soon
going
as there
back to
was
this.
as soon as there was female nipples, I said no,
Yeah.
inappropriate.
Okay. Anyway, so they meet. They end up getting married. I'm not ruining anything here. This is on the synopsis. And then okay, go ahead.
I don't. You're jumping the gun because I would like to talk about the very beginning.
Okay, I'm going to give an overview of what the movie's about. Is
Okay,
that
you know
right?
what? Continue. We did not talk about specifics, and apparently I just ruffled your feathers. So go ahead, James, and tell the plot.
So they go and get a shotgun wedding in Vegas, and then the parents find out, and that's pretty much the story. And then all the
A lot of drama that follows after they get married.
yeah, but we don't have to necessarily get into that unless you want to right now. So you want to start with the beginning scene?
Yeah, I mean, it's in my younger age, I absolutely would have been on board on that opening scene. It definitely will grab your attention if you're younger and perverted.
Well, why don't you
But
give us a little rundown of it then?
well, I mean, the intro is starting the scene. It's a darker, strip club, darker lighting, and there's just naked girls dancing for dudes, like doing like it just like panned from like right to left, I think it was, where it just kept showing a new stripper like dancing for a guy, like it looked like a long couch. I've been to a few. I'm not proud of that, but I felt like there's always that cheap man's long sofa where you don't get any privacy and it's just lined up dudes that are only like 2 feet apart and you're just getting lap dances and just completely disgusting in my opinion now. But I used to be into stuff like that when I was younger and immature and but I actually one positive thing that I liked with the movie just because of my experience is how the strippers talked and how she was going around saying hi to everybody trying to get private dances, and very, in my opinion, very accurate. So whoever they consulted with, whatever stripper they consulted with to get those scenes right, did very well. I think it was very accurate on how they dance, how they try and convince you to go get a private dance. And there's little catty comments between some of the strippers in the back room. And I never been there in the back room, but I pictured it being something like that. So I thought it definitely got me interested, not just because of the nudity, but just pretty accuracy of the environment and kind of what they were doing in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, it seemed really realistic the way she was soliciting for the
Yeah.
first few minutes. It seemed like something that was spot on.
Dude, and me and James, disclaimer, me and James, I have forced him to go to strip clubs back in the day when we were in Vegas and some other times. And James is probably one of the most awkward people in the strip club. He doesn't know how to decline, or he like has his hands together and he's just trying to keep to himself, and girls will come up and he'll just like tense up and like, you want to dance? Like, no, I'm good, thank you. But it was interesting because everyone there in those scenes seemed like they were regulars and knew what they were doing. And that's kind of who I was back in the day. I just played it cool, pretty easily declined private dances. But I did think that that was very accurate. But I don't know where I'm going with this.
So they portrayed that part really well. So that was the beginning. Is that then did things fall apart for you? Didn't
Well,
what did you like about it?
it's very cliche. I feel like just the plot and going to get married in Vegas after only knowing each other like a week. But I mean, I've never tried to solicit for more than a lap dance at these places, and I'm sure it happens. But I was just never into doing that and paying for more than a lap dance. And I think it encompassed probably what 21-year-olds do. And it's like you have those song where that one song came out a few years back, like I'm in love with a stripper. And I think a lot of males go to strip clubs, younger males, because one, maybe they don't have a girlfriend. And you know, that's kind of your peak of your male masculinity and not I can't think of a better word, but like horniness. Like when you're a young 18-year-old to like 25-year-old, I think that's when you're really trying to go on dates and hook up. And I think that's just the culture. And it's just, I mean, the odds of a stripper really finding a rich dude like that and that's young and wants to get married is definitely, I think, slim. And you know, I don't think if I ever had money, I'd be balling and partying like that. But you know, I think kids are spoiled now with lots of money, and maybe they don't go to the strip club, but I think kids waste money in a lot of other places that are kind of a waste as you get older, you realize.
Well, I don't think it's based on a true story.
I feel
They're just
that,
elaborating or embellishing. They're embellishing that to
yeah,
set up. Okay.
I get it. They're trying to make it different than some just loser like me at 22 going in there with like $100 trying to see get one of the girls to won't give him his number so they can hang out later, which I'm not saying did or didn't happen before, but I think you know you just especially when I'm older now or when I got older and I don't remember the last time I went to a strip club. But when you're younger and dumb and young and gullible and just will buy girls drinks and lap dances and just go in there and spend $200 or $300 like it's no big deal, I think we're just suckers. And I think now as I get older, one, it's definitely a waste of money, and two, I think I would just feel like a super big creeper and just that old dude that looks like he's desperate for some attention and some love. And but I was never a baller, and I don't know if I'm saying I would try and like have strippers come to my house and party like he did, or even in Vegas. But remember, oh, throwback. Remember in Vegas, we did have a time where we stayed at the strip club the whole time, all the way into the morning, and then we went and had breakfast with a couple of the strippers at the Pepper Mill or something. Don't you remember that?
I don't. I have no recollection.
James, don't lie. Lori's gonna hear this. She needs to know your past.
Well, it sounds like you're critiquing this movie based on like the how realistic it could be. That's not how I looked at it. I was looking at it as a movie as a whole. You're like, I don't know. I don't know if people would do that. I don't know if I
No,
would do that.
I feel like they absolutely would do that. I don't think it's a that offlandish plot. That's what I'm saying. It's not special. Like I mean, that probably has happened multiple times in real life, in my opinion. I mean, a bunch of young rich dudes that just want attention and then go to a strip club and just fall in love with some girl who's just playing the game. Come on, you're telling me that hasn't happened before multiple times throughout the last 50 years in Vegas or other big cities? Come on,
No,
come
I'm
on.
sure it has, but you're like not liking the movie or you're critiquing it based on like I don't know your experiences or something. So the beginning of the movie is just a bunch of like debauchery and scenes of TNA, like I said, and then yeah, the thing that didn't work for me movie wise was there was no redeeming quality for Ivan, right? The young guy. I don't even know if he is 21. I think he says he's 21, but I think
Right.
that might be like one of the like a
Lies.
twist. Yeah, yeah. He might be younger than that. Lori the whole time
What?
Lori was thinking,
A guy lied to a stripper? I don't believe that true. That's true. No way.
well, Lori kept saying, I bet he's like underage, like 17 or something, which is very, I mean, I don't know if they ever resolved that, but I don't know. So that first part of the movie, and then they get married. But for me, it was like nothing, there was no redeeming quality for him. Like I didn't understand. I mean, she was in it for strictly for the money, yeah, and the lifestyle, the house.
She thought
So that
she thought she had her golden ticket. She really did. Like I'm sure wasn't. I would think a lot of strippers aren't fond of stripping, and it's good money, and I think that's why they do it. But if they have a way out and they could just live luxuriously without having to get naked for multiple people, I think they would take it. So I definitely think she was trying to escape and get out of that scene, and I think she just kind of wasn't really focused on the details. I mean, the way his dialogue he kind of just sounded super mature, like especially when they were like talking in bed and the dialogue, and he was like giggling like a little boy and getting stoned. I know I know people giggle when they get stoned, but I just everything about him seemed like he was a sheltered, rich little kid that didn't know anything. And I think the storyline could have gone where she like took him for everything or totally just scammed him. But like you said, the parents found out, and then a bunch of drama started happening.
Yeah, so to go back to that, so him I didn't like, and then to see that she was so quick to marry him, not based on like love, right? Which whatever, kind
Hmm.
of dings her character a little bit for me too. Like it's one thing, well, when you if you relate it to like Pretty Woman, right?
Hmm.
The relationship built up, whereas their relationship in this movie was just party, sex, lavish lifestyle. Um, so that relationship I wasn't invested in like at all.
Right. Yeah. Like,
And so and maybe that was the director or the writer's choice, and that's what they went with. But it was hard for me to care about their relationship. So which made it hard for me to care about the movie as a whole. But the middle scene, which I want to really get to, where where Toros, his godfather, sends what is his name, Garnick and Igor, to go check in on him, and then it's a long scene, right? I mean, how long is that scene? Like 30
yeah.
minutes, maybe,
It's yeah,
from
at
start
least
to finish.
20. It was long. I honestly had to just get up and start doing things around the house and just keep watching because I was like, I just got annoyed with the scene.
That's so funny. I think that makes the whole movie like that. I thought that whole scene. I guess it might be multiple scenes, but it's just that scene in the living room where they try to get Ivan to come out and talk to him, and he takes off, and then it's just her, and she doesn't know who these guys are. They don't know who she is. I thought that made the whole movie because there was just
Yeah.
so many things going on there where you're like, who are these guys? We know it's his, it's his godfather who's like a man of the cloth or whatever, but then he's got these two henchmen, but they're not hurting her, so like they're not like mafia. It would have been very easy for them to like subdue her physically, but they wouldn't, and that was what made that comedy aspect of that scene made the whole movie for me. Like I would say yes, I like this movie because of that middle portion of the film, but you are the opposite.
Yeah, I get where they're coming from. Family members sent whoever they sent, and just to confirm and verify that because they just kind of heard it through the rumor mill that he got married. So I think the intent was them to go there and confirm that they actually got married, and then kind of get it ball rolling on them getting it annulled. And I just the girl not knowing who she's dealing with, and it's like, soon as it's, I mean, me personally, as soon as I know it's Russian, like those dudes come from a bad place sometimes, just living conditions, or just it's kind of cliche, but some mafia connections or bad dude connections from Russians that are first generation over or second generation. So I just felt like in that scene when she was like going crazy and screaming, and the boy, is it Ivan? What was it again? What was the guy's name?
I Which one? Ivan was her husband who
Husband,
takes
yeah. So as soon as he took
or
off,
Vanya, is
Vanya,
that
whatever. As soon
Vanya?
as
Is
he
that
took off,
Ivan?
I think that as soon as he took off, I think it gave away how young and immature he was, and he just ditched his wife, and he'd rather just let her deal with it. And her not knowing who she was dealing with, it was Russians. I mean, granted, they're from the church, so most likely they weren't there to kill her, but she was like just going buck wild and yelling and kicking and screaming. And I just feel like they could have, if it was bad dudes, they could have just easily knocked her out and tied her up and got rid of her
Yeah.
in a bad way. I'm glad it didn't. But yeah, I kept thinking like out of the blue they were going to do something like that, just kind of like hit her or just like done with her and just boom, like you're done. And then Ivan was going to have to deal with them getting rid of the body. I think that would have been a kind of a cliche plot too, but I think that would have been an entertaining different plot.
Yeah, but I think that's what made it so complex was they very easily could have like subdued her, but they didn't, and that kind of showed me how like complex the story was. Whereas
Right.
like these guys, she physically beats up, and I think that's just it was awesome that she physically like sort of beats these guys up, and they're trying to be very like kid gloves with her because they're
Mm-hmm.
not. I mean, for me, it's like, oh, they're not mafia. They're not like because they're supposed to be the bad guys, right? Like
Right.
you're presented as like, oh, this couple's in love, blah blah blah. Then the bad guys show up, but they're not really bad guys. If they were bad guys, it would have been over, right? They would have tied up both people, but they're so to just see that interaction with them was so fascinating to me. And then as they're calling Toros, who's like the main guy, just the conversations and how funny it was when like Garnick's got his broken nose and then when he finally shows up and he's like, be careful, because every time
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought
It
that
was
scene was brilliant. Like that middle part of the movie was brilliant. The beginning's whatever. It's a good setup. It's a little, it's what it is. And then the end, I don't have issues with, but I wasn't super fulfilled with the ending. But that middle scene right there, I would say if you're gonna watch this movie, just watch it for that middle part. And you're saying that you don't like the
go ahead
part.
and go ahead and fast forward through the middle
Yeah,
part.
which is
No,
so fascinating to me.
well,
So
and so it's so weird how you love the middle part of the movie because I actually thought the beginning and actually the very end was very telling or very a good intro. The beginning was a great intro, and the ending I thought was a very interesting ending, and it didn't really surprise me because of who she was. And I think I have to commend the writers and the production of it. I thought it was good in a few parts, but just her yelling and screaming, it was like a kid having a temper tantrum for like 20 minutes, in my opinion. And I get it. She was fighting back and kicked the one dude and he broke his nose. And that was somewhat entertaining, but it was just almost like her voice was just screeching to me. And I just could not enjoy it with that much yelling. And, but I definitely was not surprised how it ended with everything that unfolded that last like 5 or 10 minutes in that scene. I was not surprised at all. I thought it was a great ending though.
yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I can understand why you'd be frustrated or annoyed by her screaming, yelling. It's sort of the fight or flight response that she had. And as somebody who works in a strip club, she probably has to defend herself
Mm-hmm.
or be very like put up that wall. And later in the movie, that wall's gone. Obviously, you see it. Not to spoil anything, but I don't know. It's so funny that you don't like that middle part. Like I thought you were gonna love because just the banter between the two guys. The Toros comes in. Uh, I don't know. It just made the whole movie for me. I'm
And
just fascinated. I really
well,
like it.
and maybe I just need to watch it again. Maybe I just wasn't in the right mood, or I was, busy thinking about getting ready for this trip, and I just kind of didn't want to deal with processing all the complexity of that middle scene. But I'll watch it again. It wasn't terrible. I just want to like be clear. It was a decent movie. I just don't think it was like Best Picture worthy.
Well, maybe not, but you didn't watch any of the other Best Picture nominations, right? I didn't either, so it's hard for me to say.
I know,
But
but if that was the only movie I saw and I had to decide, is this would you consider this as a definite for a best movie of the year or not? I would say no. Like without even watching the other nominations, I like were movies not that or that not good this year last year in 2024 where that really was the take home winner for five things. I just have to assume that the rest of the movies were not very good.
that might be a fair assessment. I guess we got to watch them all. The Substance is next. We got to watch The Substance with Demi Moore.
Yeah, maybe we'll do another movie review in a week or two, and just so we're not just doing back to back movie reviews. But it was worth the $5.99 rental, and I don't feel
Don't
like
you
I lost 2 hours
don't
of my
you
life.
don't you have Hulu?
I do have Hulu, but it
Wasn't
wouldn't.
it free on Hulu?
I looked on Hulu and I didn't find it. Whatever.
It was like the first thing that came up when I turned on the TV on Hulu. It was like, watch Anora. Stream Anora now.
Maybe I don't know. I don't know. I was like, whatever. I was over. Oh, I couldn't. That's what it was. I couldn't log. I don't know how I forgot. I couldn't log into my Hulu account, and I didn't want to like just mess with trying to figure it out and sign it in on my TV or sign in on my TV. So I was just like, forget it. I'm going on Amazon. I'm just gonna pay $6 because I don't want to. I don't want to deal with this mental anguish of trying to figure out logging into one of my streaming.
So out of 5 stars, what do you give Anora?
Okay, I would say, can we do point like a number
Yeah, you can
point
do a
something?
half or a third.
I want to almost say a 4, but I almost like a 3.8 out of a
Wow.
5 for me.
So I like the movie, and I was gonna give it like a 3.5 star. You don't like it. You're giving it like a 3, 8, and 4. So we have a different way of viewing things.
Well, I mean, 4 to 5 is a hard. There's not much in that space, and there's a lot of movies between 3 and 4. And if we're doing a 5 scale, I think a lot of pretty good average movies are at least a 3 to a 4. So I give it's above average, 3.5, I guess. I guess 2.5 would be in the middle, but for I think our scaling system. I think anything 4 and over is pretty top notch.
Yeah, let's say like 5 stars is anytime it's on, you have to watch it, right? 4.5, 4 is you recommend it and you'll watch it occasionally.
Yep.
3 is you'll recommend it and you like it. 2's like, I don't know, it wasn't for me, and 1's just like, no, we're not. Don't. It's terrible.
Well, for me, anything under 3, I probably wouldn't recommend or really care to watch again. So that's why I put it at 3.8 because I'd watch it again.
All right. So I give it a 3.5. You give it a 3 and 0.8.
You know what? No, I can't be higher than you when I didn't.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's funny.
All right. I like to retract my previous score, and I'll go.
Good.
It's got to be under
terrible.
3 point. We'll say 3.4. And you're at 3.5.
I'm gonna give you 3.25.
Give me 3.3. 3.3.
We're gonna settle on 3.33.
Deal. Sold.
All right.
All right.
So 3.5 for me and 3.33 for you. 3.33 with a number of the line over the 3.
So just enough. Okay, we went way over time, bro. Like
not
we're
way.
20
not
minutes.
Way.
Yeah, because you wanted
not
to ramble on, rambling on. That's our opinion. James says I'm assuming with your score, you recommend it to people. I say you're not missing out, but I would watch it again. So if you want to watch it, go for it.
I'd watch it if you're not put off by a lot of breasts and butts and some on-screen climaxing
and use of multiple drugs. So it's really not promoting a healthy lifestyle.
Watch it with your young kids. Explain to them what not to do.
It should be 18 and over, in my opinion.
We just hit the age. Like, you need to be like 41 to watch this film.
All right. What do you say we move on and we talk about the song of the week since we're done with Anora and all her hoochiness?
Song of the week. This week we got Baseball Bat by the French Cassettes. Let me play it for you. Baseball Bat by French Cassettes.
Turn up tiny bit.
All right, I'm gonna blow your mind. These guys are not French at all.
I wasn't even thinking, hey, are these guys French?
Oh, well, it's a little bit of cultural appropriation, right? They are from San Francisco area. I don't know much about them. Most of these newer songs I find I don't really know much about the band. One of these days I'll do a song of the week of a band I actually know a little bit about. But yeah, they're not from France. Unbelievable.
Bonjour.
So what's your take on the song, Jake?
I really like the song. I was actually looking forward to you playing it last week, but that other song was pretty darn good too. But I think this is probably one of my top 3 that you've found so far over the last 6 or 7 weeks. I really like it. It's funny, during the video, the dude had a bunch of money and I was like, oh shoot, is he going to hang out with Anora? And then I don't know how many big pink elephants there are in the US, but I feel like that's maybe one that I've seen, because I've seen 1 or 2 in my road trips. But I thought it was pretty good, decently entertaining video. But I really like the song. I've already saved it to my Spotify favorite list.
Yeah, it's a little bit more low key than some of the songs I've been putting on here. A little bit more relaxing, maybe perfect for your road trip.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so go check that out. That's Baseball Bat by French Cassettes. We'll put the link in the bio.
And I feel like maybe they got the name from some family relatives that had some French cassettes, when they were growing up. And so they just thought it'd be funny to be called that. I don't know. I don't know what to think.
I'll ask them next time I see them.
I was gonna say, why don't we have them on the show and they'll be our first musical guest? What do you
That'd
think?
be awesome. Yeah, we'll
All
do
right.
it. Oh, yeah.
All right. I need our 17 followers. Get the word out. All right. That we want to interview French cassettes.
Get to
all
work,
right.
people.
Yep. Make it happen. All right. All right. So now moving on to question of the week.
I have no idea what this question is.
It's definitely going to be random. And I try to cater it or at least follow along the lines of our topic that we're talking about, or something that is something maybe in conjunction with the topic we're discussing.
TNA, baby. TNA.
It's going to kind of be a question about that.
Oh,
All right.
geez.
What is your favorite size? No, I'm kidding. All right. So the question is, all right. And I'm not a parent. So this is actually, I want to know what you think. And I'm wondering what parents are going to think listening to this. All right. All right. Question is, at what age do you think it's necessary or appropriate to allow your kids to watch movies with sex, drugs, and violence in it?
I mean, I don't think I have a good answer for this.
Well,
I
the
think it
reason
depends on the
sorry.
kid. I think
Right,
it depends on the kid and how mature the kid is, or how susceptible they are to being influenced, maybe. I don't know. We're language, we've kind of let slide as far as watching. We don't allow vulgar language in the house, but from them, but we allow it because they're going to hear. I mean, Everton hears it every day in middle school, and I'm sure James Lilly is hearing it in elementary
Yeah.
school too. As
That's
a
how
fifth
kids
grader.
roll. That's how kids
Yeah.
roll in elementary.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah. So that, and then the violence were a little bit more for James Lilly. She doesn't like it, so we don't allow. And then the sex stuff we don't really allow, which is, I don't know.
And Everton's 12 and James Lilly is 10, right? Remember?
Yeah.
So a little bit, am I understanding correctly? You'll allow a little bit of vulgarness and swearing in movies, but obviously don't allow them to repeat it or talk like that in the house.
Yeah.
Okay. What about violence? Like, let's say like John Wick. I know James Lilly doesn't like that, but would Everton enjoy that as a 12-year-old?
Yeah, he would love it. And he's obsessed with like the Halloween movies and like the slasher films. So, and it's funny because we typically wouldn't allow him to watch it, but AMC does like a thing every Halloween where they do like the TV version. So we recorded all like everything from like Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, all the Halloweens, the Michael, all the Jason films, Friday the 13th. And we let him watch those, but it takes away the like campy nudity stuff, right?
So
you can't show that on TV. Yeah,
they censor it and they take out all the under PG-13, anything worse than that kind of thing.
Yeah, and even like some of the slashy stuff, like you don't see like the blades go into people's skulls and stuff. But I mean, we let them watch Wolverine and Deadpool, which is pretty violent and a lot of cursing. That's probably the worst thing that they've seen, I'm guessing. But yeah, we have like a hard line. Like nudity, it's not nudity, it's like the sexual explicitity, I think, of the films that we don't really allow. Like we obviously don't body shame in this house, but they don't need to see that yet. Well, my wife body shames me quite a bit.
So you body shame yourself, but nobody else. No, but I just, last episode we were talking about different generations, and maybe I just didn't have a good parent, but I feel like my dad was letting me watch Rambo and Commando and all these bloody, gory movies, like by the time I was 10. And don't even get me started with Basic Instinct and that one scene in Basic Instinct when I was like 11 or 12. But my dad was just kind of like, yeah, whatever. Like you can watch whatever I'm watching. I don't know if it affected me negatively as an adult. Probably did. But yeah, we were watching nudity, swearing, drugs, sex, and violence, and all of that stuff. I would say by the time I was around 10.
Yeah, I may have a funny story that my dad rented Porky's for my 8th birthday.
That is the classic. I can't believe I forgot about that one.
But that's a true story. And as a parent now, like if my son had gone to a sleepover as an 8-year-old to go watch that movie, I would have been livid. But I don't know if the parents even knew that was happening. I don't know. I was too young to like understand the like references and the jokes. It was just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but even in Porky's, it didn't show like actual people having sex that I remember. It was just that shower scene where they were sneaking a peek through that one hole where all the females were showering at the school gym or whatever. And
Right.
I thought the funniest part when the dude was all trying to get a look and everyone else had taken up a hole to look through, and then he finally got one, and there was that fat chick that was blocking his view, and he just yells at her. I thought that was super funny, but yeah, I felt like it wasn't super inappropriate nudity for a movie.
Well, but then you remember what happens, what he does with the hole, and what happens,
Mm,
right? So, like, I think that would have been over my head as an 8-year-old. It's like, why is he doing that? So,
the glory hole.
oh, you said it.
I actually forgot about that. Maybe I just was trying to remove visions of penis out of my head.
I mean, I was asking you the same question, but you don't have kids, so
I think if I did have kids, I definitely would be a little more reserved and like kind of like similar to you, some vulgarness, some violence, but definitely, or if we're watching something, to explicitly tell them like, oh, there's a scene where someone's doing a line of coke off a stripper's butt. Like I would make sure I tell them, hey, that is inappropriate. Okay, you do it on a table, you don't do it off someone's body. No, I'm just kidding. No, I would either fast forward the scene or make sure I explicitly told them that is not even appropriate for adults, and kind of send that home. But I probably would have been a terrible parent. So don't take my advice.
well, I mean, your sister has 3 kids, and you've spent a lot of time there. What's their? Are they have a similar stance, or what's?
Very similar. The most of their catalog, like they have a huge Apple catalog of different movies. They're all mostly family movies, like The Burbs and Goonies, and a lot of animated. And I think their oldest, Gabe, who's 15 now, I think he's probably seeing more movies and probably a little more. I wouldn't say inappropriate, but just a little more revealing type of movies. Now he's hanging out with friends at their houses, and there's so much online and internet and phone, and I don't even know how you censor that stuff for your kids. But I feel like my sister's raising kids, and I don't recall hearing any of them swear or say anything vulgar. And I don't try and minimize drinking alcohol. I mean, I used to drink a lot, and they've seen me drunk back in the day before I got help, if you will, or just realized it was a problem. So they've seen how people are drunk, and I don't think I was the worst drunk, but I don't think that I gave them a good impression of how people act when they've been drinking. So hopefully, they've been sheltered enough, but not too much, and they've seen enough to know how to make the right decisions for certain things as far as what they see and what they watch, and making the right choice of not doing the bad stuff.
We're all just winging it out here.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know what you don't know, and it's hard to put a gauge on how stuff like that affects you as a kid and as you get. I do think of Shallow Hal, and remember that scene in the beginning of Shallow Hal where his uncle or something's dying, and he's like, you gotta don't find a woman for love, find a woman that has big bazungas or whatever. And he was like very materializing women, and then the whole premise of the Shallow Hal movie was him just trying to find the perfect woman. And I think, hey, maybe that could actually have a negative effect on somebody that tells you gives you bad advice.
It's possible.
But I think you're doing really good as a parent. Well, I think Lori's doing really good. You're doing okay. And I think my sister's a great mom, and I think she's raising good kids. And like, I think that's all you can hope you do. If you care as a parent, you're trying to do your best. And I think my dad did somewhat his best with all his flaws. I think me and my sister turned out okay. And I don't think our exposure to inappropriate movies made us complete rejects. I don't know, complete morons or complete alcoholics. Well, I was a little bit of alcoholic, or I feel like it didn't affect us too negatively in a bad way. That's what I'll say about that. All right.
Oh, well, you're wrong, but
I would like to thank you, James, for all that you do for me and for your kids. And I look forward to our next episode.
are we done with this episode? We're signing off, or you have something else
Well,
to say?
I feel we're at like 42 minutes in, and we're, I think our audience, we're trying to do our best to keep it under 40, 45 minutes, and we've gone long almost every time.
Failed.
Right. But I do enjoy talking to you about stuff, and hopefully people enjoy listening to us talk about stuff and can I hope my vision is that people are watching this on their drive home and listening to it and just
Watching? I hope not.
not watch. Sorry, did I say watching? Are listening to this, or if they're watching it and they're like talking out loud on responding to stuff we're asking or stuff we're talking about, or they're just and involved in the conversation, even though
Yeah,
they're not.
shut the fuck.
Jake, stop talking. But no, I think these are fun questions, and I think hopefully you're expanding people listening to new music, and I hope people will continue to enjoy it. But moving forward, I should be starting my road trip tomorrow to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, to visit my sister and the kids for their spring break. They wanted to go down there.
All right, sounds good. Have fun on your trip.
I always
safe.
do. I never am. All
All
right,
right.
dude. I'll talk to you soon.
See you soon.
Love you guys.